I have seen someone on the internet literally throwing frosting at this thing. Why do people do this? Why am I doing it? Okay, I'm gonna do a little slower. Oh no.
Yep.
Oh no. Okay, that was funny. So today I'm going to go through 3 methods of trying to get a super smooth finish to your cake. One is the super low-tech way, using a tool that everyone has, the bench scraper. The second way is using a slightly advanced tool that allegedly scrapes off the top and the sides of the cake. I haven't used it yet, so we'll discover together whether it actually works. And the third way is a TikTok internet famous machine that spins on its own, scrapes on its own. All you have to do is pipe. So let's start with the kind of most low-tech tools just to smooth the sides and the top of the cake. Well, first, you always have to have a method of piping on the frosting or just throwing it on. And I'm always going to use a piping bag filled with the buttercream frosting that is at its perfect state. The other things that I'm always going to have to help along are a small and large offset spatula. So these are kind of to do finishing divots if you have something that's smooth but you still have little holes in there. I'll always have these around to patch and finish. But it's the scraping tool that we're actually looking at today. The one that actually flattens the frosting on the side and the top. The most standard is just your bench scraper. The bench scraper is something that is fabulous to have because it's a multi-purpose tool. It's not single use. So you're going to use this for your actual scraping of the bench, cutting things, and also for the sides of a cake. One problem is that most bench scrapers, their handle, that's usually wood, sometimes plastic, will often jut beyond the metal. And you want the metal to sit right flush onto whatever you're using to turn. Now, if you have that wood in the way, it will tilt it. It won't be at a perfect 90-degree angle. Then you go to ones that are bespoke for frosting, that just scrape the sides and the top one at a time, but that are better, right? So this does not have something jutting out. It's perfectly 90 degrees, and this is Wilton, a standard. This is for a barrel cake. So you see the wood handle, but you've got all this metal that's exposed, so it's not jutting out. And then, just to be crazy, I always go to the hardware store and look for tools that might be cheaper and might work just as well. 90-degree angle, flat metal surface, and a handle. This could do the biggest barrel cake ever, but we don't need anything that high. So let's start piping and start scraping. So let's start with just the bench scraper and see where we get. So one thing that you'll notice is that in this case, it's not a bad thing. This is almost the height of the cake, so we might be able to do the whole thing with the bench scraper. Also, I've noticed that we're not going to be impeded by the wood because the cake, as it is going around, isn't so small that the wood is going to be entering into the space, flat space of the turntable. So we're going to be able to set it at 90 degrees evenly onto the turntable. So what I do is I approach the cake, and then I ever so slightly angle, and then I start scraping. What I've noticed about this, it isn't tall enough. I need something that's slightly taller because I'm not getting to the very top of the cake. And what I want to see is that the frosting kind of goes up and extends up above the rim of the cake so that I can then gently swipe it down to get a very clean finish. Our second method of finishing is the Frostinator. We'll see how this goes. This allows you to smooth the sides and the top of the cake simultaneously, also giving you a little adjustable top so that you can adjust based on the height of your cake. Let's see how, oh, and another adjustment. Oh, this should be interesting. Let's see what this does. But first, we must pipe our frosting. We must always pipe that first. I haven't opened this yet, so we shall see. That's a flat end. I don't like it. don't like this at all. Yeah, this is not good. I'm not sure what level is on this because of this stand here. This juts out just enough that maybe I have to adjust a little more. I'm gonna keep trying. I'm not gonna cast any aspersions before I get it right. This could be user error, not tool error. This is how I would usually angle my non-Frostinator. I'm not digging the amount of frosting that I'm scraping off. I would like it to be much easier on me to actually get to the middle because it's not even reaching the middle. So there is no way from what I can see that I can make this arm here any longer to actually reach to the middle of the cake. There's a nipple in the middle of my cake and I can't get rid of that. So it seems that the only cake that I could do this successfully is a 6-inch cake or less. And that seems really odd because the majority of cakes that we make at home are at least 8 inches and often usually 9. But Frostinator, I will be back. I will try it again. And maybe it needs another frosting or maybe just more patience. That's one of the things that I'm trying to figure out here. I want to make things a little faster and easier. I don't know that this even has a name, but it is a mechanical frosting scraper on the top and on the bottom. It cost a pretty penny. It does not come with a lot of instructions at all. In fact, this is what I have. Introduction to panel keys, and it shows me what they are. Power switch, which we all know, forward, reverse, increase rotating speed, reduce rotating speed, long press this key to quickly reduce the speed, and then empty key, reserved key for future product upgrades. Well, that's exciting. Let's see what that does. Use method. 1. First put the cake embryo in the right place. I guess this is the cake embryo. I think they need to rethink that name. So I will place this on the center of the turntable. It has these convenient rings that will like correspond to the size of the cake. And this is an 8-inch cake, so there it is. As to the build, it's questionable. Not that it's not going to work, but that there are things like that just aren't quite right, let's say. For instance, this is just not sturdy. The screws here are kind of slanted and stripped in sideways. And then whenever you move this, it has left major scars on my school work surfaces. There's something here underneath that is just a little piece of metal that's just sticking out. And if you don't pick it up and move it, and it's heavy, it will it scraped this here too. This is nice and scrapey as well. Keep that in mind. So would I naturally, no, I would go the other way. So I want to reverse it that way. So I think that's the slowest speed, and let's see how fast it can go. At 65. That didn't seem perceptibly faster. That might be a little faster. Oh, now it's getting, oh, hey-oh. Would it spin? This is a pretty heavy cake, but I can see a scenario where this spins right off the turntable. I have another cake in the fridge, so just in case that happens, we're okay. But also what I'm noticing is that it's going around like this, so maybe I have to straighten out the cake. Oh, you guys. Oh, hey. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. It's going faster. Why is it letting it go this fast? How is that okay? Okay, it did fall off. I think it can be going faster. That's really scary. Are you okay? My cake embryo? That's insanity. Well, if you want to know if this can go fast, yes, it can go really fast. And I think indeed faster than I just had it going.
Wait, do you want to check the speed before you put that on?
Yeah, it's at 0 now. I think I have to make sure that it's at, oh my God. I'm a little shaky. I am shaken. Yeah, we're back at our normal speed. Sorry, cake embryo. You got a little cracked. Okay, so now we're at a slower speed. I can go a little faster, I think. Is this the way I would go? Yeah, that's the way I would go. Now we have the bars that scrape the frosting. So my first thoughts are that I like the way this moves. This is, I kind of dig this, that I don't have to make all these adjustments by screwing something and then physically moving it. This seems pretty stinking great, right? Like this is moving and shaking on its own, and I can really get to, like, I imagine 1/8 of an inch if I didn't want a ton of frosting on the top. I'm also noticing that I have it positioned at an 8-inch cake, and this is going at least to the middle, if not a little beyond where the middle would be. So already I'm liking this better just in the fact that it will not leave me with a little nipple at the middle of my cake, which is a great thing, not having a nipple in the middle of your cake. So now let's get to piping the frosting on. So I think I'm gonna pipe it because I don't have to move it. Levers up. I'm not. Truth be told, I'm getting a little dizzy. I am getting just a wee bit dizzy. So I cannot manually move it, which I suppose is better for the machine itself. Being a very tactile person, someone who decorates cakes with a turntable, I feel the need that I want to be able to turn it, but that's not what this does. And I feel like the motion, it feels a little stuttery. It doesn't feel entirely smooth, but that could just be because I'm getting dizzy. Let's start at the slowest speed. My inclination is to go faster, but we saw what happened when I did that the first time. So I'm gonna get this close. I'm gonna start getting this close. Now, it's occurring to me that you can't really get them scraping simultaneously exactly, or maybe you can. Maybe you just have to be better coordinated than I am. So I'm gonna start going down. Okay, one thing I was scared of is that the cake, Is this working? I'm not mad at this. I think I'm just a little bit in love. What I am foreseeing is that this buildup of frosting right here, I've got to be able to release it somehow cleanly. Or that's the question, can I release it cleanly? Now, do I lift it up? That's what I'm going to try first. I'm going to lift it up and maybe catch it a little. Now, I wish I had paid attention to exactly where it was sitting so I could go straight to the number. So there are rulers on either side. So you could, if you were smarter, you could actually write down, this is the exact depth that I had the scraper initially, and just go straight back there and clean that off. So that's on me. Guys, I'm kind of happy about this. So now my job is, I still have to use some of my old tools, and I have to go in and do this. I can see a world where you are selling a lot of cakes or in the middle of building a wedding cake, and you want things to be just a little more hands-off so that you can finish making a sugar flower, or that you can, do any number of things. You're stacking the bottom cakes and you're trying to finish off the top really quickly. I can foresee a really busy cake maker making really good use of this machine. And I had a fear that the force of the sidebar, would shove the cake off with the kind of, as it was going around, but it didn't. Bit of frosting. Okay, let's go back. Notice also, this side arm, there is a gap right between the actual turntable and the side frosting arm, and I would say that it is a little more than 1/8 of an inch. Most cakes, all cakes for that matter, are going to be on a cardboard round. You might want to adjust what you put your cake on based on the height of this side arm. It's not unusual for cake makers to use acrylics underneath that they then take away, which might be a great idea for this, just to get the height up so that the entirety of the cake itself is scraped. I have a feeling it's doing an okay job because it is on a cardboard round, but it's not that thick. If you make cakes, you know what I mean. So, descending. You got to remember which way to turn it, otherwise I just dug into the cake. That's me. You know what? I kind of love this. I really do. Okay, I'm going to turn this around if I remember how to do this. So you can see the little mark that it left on the side. Turn, please. Stop. Can you see it's right here? So there's a little mark here and here along the side. I would not fix it in this state right now with the frosting so soft. I would put this whole cake into the refrigerator, let it set, and then take an offset and essentially smooth that down, because the rest of the frosting will be nice and set. That will allow me to get just this little part here seamless like the rest of it. Do this too soon with the frosting too soft, and then you're just gonna mess up other things in here. The next thing is I've got to take it off. Don't go on that side. Don't go on that side. There it is. There it is. Again, this is a heavy cake. This is a heavy cake that you saw it move when it flew off. I'm curious to see what a chiffon cake would do. We tested 3 ways of finishing cakes. First, old school. Just very simple tools that you probably already have in your house. Worked really well. Second, we went a little fancy. Still manual, but a bespoke tool for finishing the top and the sides of your cake. And then we went crazy. We got the fancy, expensive machine that does it all for you. Well, almost. And I gotta say, each one was a pretty fantastic experience in its own way, but this one I think pretty much stole my heart. It's my new best friend.
If you're interested in more in-depth classes, both in person and online, visit sugargliderkitchen.com.
Hey, don't forget to punch down those like and subscribe buttons.